use it here with the Eiler. We went through your Pisker Reb Chaim that you heard from Reb Chaim in the back of Sukkah's Chaim. And I also, since we don't do short Pesach Reb Chaim Stabazai, you Mabal and Chasard there by giving all the background to a lot of the Shilas. We got stuck shtickle hooks in Mitzvasai, but you saved us with the car on the Shulchan Aruch HaRav, right? The Shulchan Aruch HaRav is the best, but the Shulchan Aruch doesn't say why. L'maisa, he doesn't say Svara. He just says Izazai. He doesn't say Chalamayid. You can make it tonight. Doesn't say what the pshat is. What's the reason you could do that? I mean, he was mechadish himself. Why? Because it's only Dravanan. What's the pshat that Shulchan Aruch HaRav? I don't know. Al Kapanim, we will learn your Torah. So thank you very much. And now we get a chance to learn your Torah live. I'm going to Simcha Londinsky.
Okay, I got Mayid, everybody. I would just like to be magdim that. I don't know if you're sitting in your sukkah, you're not sitting in your sukkah, it's raining by you, it's not raining by you. But there's a shaila if you're allowed to give a drasha on sukkahs, if someone's going to fall asleep. So you're being gayin with naiva that is sleeping out of the sukkah. So we hope that won't apply by us. We hope that we'll be zeichet to have the olam awake. If not, please listen live in your sukkah. Like this, it should be that it's not my grammar that you're falling asleep out of the sukkah. Even let's say you don't sleep in the sukkah at night, but in the day, if it's comfortable, you could sleep in the sukkah. So therefore, we should be zeicha that we should stay awake. The shir should keep us awake. You know, as I write, there's a Sefer Ikrim that says that Limud HaTorah, the Gemara says Limud HaTorah does not need to be done in the sukkah. Everything else, when the Gemara lists, when Chav Chesed Beis brings the brayso, what has to be done in the sukkah, the Gemara says, steer if Limud HaTorah does have to be done in the sukkah, doesn't have to be done in the sukkah. And the Gemara says, it depends what type of learning. If it's Bekiyas, it should be done in the sukkah. And if it's Be'in, it shouldn't be done in the sukkah. And the Sefer Ikrim and others go in that ma'alach, they say that what's the pshat, what's the difference between Bekiyas and Be'in? So Pashas Rashi says, it's because Bekiyas, you don't need so much concentration to learn, so therefore you can sit in the sukkah. Shank and Ian, you need a lot of concentration, so therefore you can't do it in the sukkah. But the Ikrim says that Ian is like sukkah. What's sukkah? Sukkah is tilusid emnusi. You're sitting with the Rebbeinu Shalom. When someone's having a learning, and you're thinking about a svar, you're saying something, not just galan, just the harv in it. That is like you're sitting in the sukkah, even though you're not sitting in the sukkah. We have this chus to have these. It's unbelievable. Now, you know, sometimes there's Ben Azmanim and Chalamayid is Ben Azmanim to Ben Azmanim, and still Shlomo is Mechayev us all to sit and learn. He's in HSukkah, he just landed, jet lag and everything, all the excuses. But he's there with us to sit and learn. Hashem should give him weiter kayach to continue on this mishnudige effort that he puts in, the kayachas that he puts in to this Yachei Kala.
Amen.
Okay, today we want to discuss a few topics regarding the mitzvah sukkah, obviously. We're going to start with the Mishnah, and we'll try to go through a few inyanim in this Mishnah. The Mishnah is on the Avchafei Amud Aleph in Masechta Sukkah. Starts off a din shluchei mitzvah pturim min sukkah. Someone who's a shliach mitzvah, he's part of a sukkah. He's involved in a mitzvah. Now, obviously, it doesn't just mean that you're involved in shalom bayis, then you'll never sit in a sukkah. It has to be that there's a real involvement in a sukkah, in a mitzvah, that we'll see what Rashi is referring to. Rashi is going to tell us the three mitzvahs that we're discussing here, but akapanim, that's patim in a sukkah. And that's the normal din that's kol hatayah kula, Isaac b'mitzvah, patim in a mitzvah. So Rashi gives us examples. First example Rashi gives is halcha b'derech mitzvah kigoyin lilmay Torah. Person goes to learn, he's pater from sitting in a sukkah. Now that's very hard to understand. This is really a Gemara later on that it says of Chizda, Huna, Gemara Chavav Amud Aleph, they were going halcha lilmay Torah, and they were pater from a sukkah. So therefore, it's mefurish that we're dealing with people that are coming to hear drasha, the pater sitting in a sukkah. So the Ar Sameach in Perek Aleph and Echas Talmud Torah Halacha Beis. He says, brings Yishalmi and Shabbos Perek Aleph Halacha Beis that says Miloi Moide B'Shim Be'Yichayid Mafsikin Talmud Torah Lasik Sukkah V'Lita Lulav. We are mafsik Talmud Torah. We know if a person is going to say, "I'm learning today. Today I'm learning from morning to night, and I don't want to do Dalet Minim." We tell him, "Sorry, you're mechuyev to do the mitzvah Dalet Minim." And so to every mitzvah that the Limud Torah tries to be mafsik, we tell you be mafsik from the Limud Torah and go ahead and do the mitzvah that's mutal on you to do right now. So, Fekta Sameach, what's this hat of Heilich Lomay Torah? He's going to learn Torah, therefore he's pater from sitting in the sukkah. Why is that pater from sitting in the sukkah? Learning Torah itself, a person is mechuyev to go ahead and stop and do mitzvahs. We daven, we do everything. For everything. We don't say you're pater from doing the mitzvah because a person decided to just to learn Torah. So therefore, Fekta Sameach, a very strong question on this Gemara, that on this Rashi, that how could Rashi tell us that shluchei mitzvah, which are pater, was if someone is going l'may Torah? He's more ma'arich in it. He brings a Gemara ma'at cotton, but that's basically his question. And let's just extend a little bit more on this question. The Meiri and Shabbos Daf Yud Aleph Amud Aleph explains what's the reason for this. We know Talmud Torah can get kula. Why should you taka be mevatel limud Torah to go ahead and do a mitzvah? So he says, the Meiri explains, Talmud learning is only to bring you to do the Maisa. How could you be mafkir from the Maisa when the Maisa is mutlan? Which means, what do we learn for? You're learning alibit to come out with the halach, to come out with what to do, how to live your daily life. So if that's what you're learning for, that's a tachas alimut. So Mamela, it can't be that when it comes to the Maisa to do it itself, the mitzvah to do itself, you're going to say, no, I'm in the middle of learning. Because since that, as I state in the Meir and Shabbos, like we said, so therefore, it just makes the Samech's kasha even stronger, that how could Rashi give us a mashal of Heilich Lomay Torah, that that's why you'll be pater from sitting in the sukkah. So the Ramei Simcha says the text, he says it with the Taisvis in Ksubis, that you Zayin Amud Aleph, the Bamascham Mavatlan, Taisvis brings over there Shita from the Rimi Kurvil. On this, that Rabbi Kiva says, Chilas Tashmisha Lefnei Chachamim, the Gadol Shimusha Yosim Elimuda. If a person's being Isaac and Shimush Tamidei Chachamim, that is greater than learning itself. That's how we see that Yeshua ben Nun, he was Meshamash Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why he took over. It could have been someone who would have been greater than him at learning. But Gadol Shimush Yosim Elimuda. So we also, Dr. Meir Simcha, obviously we're discussing the case that it's Heilich Lomay Torah. What does it mean it's Heilich Lomay Torah? He's going to be Meshamash Tamidei Chachamim. Heilich Lomay Torah is Shimush Tamidei Chachamim. That's his answer to this question. Now, Lanir's Daiti HaKatan, that's a little bit of a daichik to explain in Rashi, that Lomay Torah is talking about Shimush Tamidei Chachamim. Rashi said Lomay Torah, Rashi didn't say Shimush. If Rashi would have meant Shimush, he would have written that word Shimush. Why did Rashi go ahead and say Heilich Lomay Torah? So therefore, it's mistaber, I'll be pashtus that Rashi would be referring to a different din, and we're back shver with the Sameach's question that how could it be that Rashi is telling us a din that Lomay Torah you're part of a mitzvah sukkah, then no one will be sitting in the sukkah anytime the person wants to learn. He'll be part of them sitting in the sukkah. We can design. So there's a sefer Nachlas Tzvi, an early Achron, probably 400 years ago. The Rabbi brings him down on the Shulchan Aruch. He's bothered with the Meir Simcha's question, and he says a different answer. He says Rashi's discussing someone that didn't learn yet. So now his learning now is considered a mitzvah chiyuvis, the pater from sukkah. If he learned already today, every day a person is mechuyev to learn. He's yaitze maybe with Kriya Shema, on a dime, but upon him he's mechuyev to learn. He's obligated, just like he's obligated to have dalet minim, to put on tefillin, to wear tzitzis. A person is mechuyev, which is a shot. But upon him, a person is mechuyev to go ahead and learn every single day. So here we're discussing with someone didn't learn yet. So therefore, we're telling you that he's pater from sitting in the sukkah because he's going to learn for the first time in that day. Now the question is obvious on this chat, that why can't he just say Krishma? Why are we letting him pat himself from Sukkah by just saying, okay, he has to learn. So let him say Krishma, let him say one pasuk, let him say Kapitel Tehillim. Why are we telling him that go pat yourself from Sukkah because you didn't learn yet today? Go find yourself a things that you're going to learn. That's this question in the Nachlas Tzvi. So what happened was Tafshin Samach Vav. This is more than 15 years ago. I put out my first Sefer Sukkos Chaim, and Rav Don Segel, who's from the Mashgiche of today's generation, he was giving a shir in New York. And normally he doesn't give a shir, normally he gives a shmooze. And he was giving a shir then, and I wasn't there, but there were hundreds in the attendees. And he said, over the Sukkos Chaim, which is the Sefer that I printed, and he went through the Sukkos Chaim Pshat in this Rashi. He's saying over there Semech, and he's saying over this Nachlas Tzvi, and other Pshatim that I bring down. Then he says he wants to say another Pshat that he heard from his Rosh Hashiva, Reb Chatzkel Abramsky. Reb Chatzkel Abramsky said a different test to this question. How do we answer Rashi? How do we answer Rashi? The Rashi said a mashal of Heilig Limud Torah. So he said as follows. He says, what's the Pshat? That Limud Torah, we asked a good question. We said Limud Torah is something which is Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, is the greatest mitzvah that we have. And still, in all, we tell you that every Ma'aseh mitzvah that we do, we go ahead and is mevatel the Limud Torah. What's the pshat to that? Why should Limud Torah be pushed off to any other mitzvah? So we said one reason, B'Shem D'Yashalmi. Chatzkel Abramsky said another reason. He said, the Gayan writes in Shnei Saliyon, in the beginning of Masechtas Peah, you do with the Gekayan, he says that Limud Torah, every word that you learn, you get a mitzvah of Na'atzmai. This says, you start a Gemara and you say, Shluchei mitzvah. That's 2 mitzvahs. You're getting 2 mitzvahs right there. Turim and HSukkah, that's 5 mitzvahs. Every single word you say, you get a kiyum mitzvah. Fine. Now, he says as follows. When I said the word shluchei, I got 1 mitzvah. Mitzvah's over. I said the next word, I get another mitzvah. The mitzvah's over. I say the next word, I get another mitzvah. The mitzvah's over. The only time I say Isik b'mitzvah patim and mitzvah is if I'm middle of the mitzvah. But by Limud Torah, every word I do, I finish the mitzvah. So therefore, I'm allowed to stop and be mafsik to go ahead and do another mitzvah because I'm not in the middle of the mitzvah of Limud Torah. Once I said one word, I finished the word. So now that word is nigma, and now there's no more. It's not, I'm in the middle of something and I'm not allowed to stop it because I'm in the middle of a mitzvah. I can't go ahead and do another mitzvah. No, over here I completed the mitzvah. I said the word and I completed it. Therefore, Reb Chatzkel Abramsky said that would be considered not being Isaac in a mitzvah. Now, that is the guy. Zok Reb Chatzkel Abramsky. But when I'm going to learn Torah, I'm Hilcha B'derech. So over there, I didn't finish the mitzvah because I'm traveling towards learning. So that's along the travel is one Ma'aseh mitzvah. So therefore, I can't go ahead and be mafsik to do the mitzvah sukkah. When I'm doing learning itself, so then you're mafsik to do another mitzvah because each word is a mitzvah. Each word of Limud Torah is a mitzvah. I'm not stopping in the middle of a mitzvah. I did one mitzvah. Then I go and do. I did the mitzvah Limud Torah. I finished a sentence. I finished the line. I finished the word. Whatever I did. Now I go ahead and do another mitzvah. Put on tefillin. No problem. I wasn't Isaac for mitzvah Limud Torah because I stopped the mitzvah Limud Torah. Masha'en came when I go ahead and I'm Heilig Limud Torah. Over there, I'm okay with being Isaac, which means I'm continuing on this one long Ma'aseh mitzvah. Therefore, we tell you that won't, you're not supposed to be mafsik for another mitzvah. And therefore, shluchei mitzvah, a pater, could be discussing in this case of Heilig Limud Torah. That was Reb Chatzkel Abramsky's pshat. And that's where Rav Don Segel said over in Shir. Later on, I found it in the Reb Chatzkel Abramsky has a sefer called Chazon Yecheskel on Tosefta, Gudig sefer. And over there in Shabbos, Perek Aleph Halacha Dalet, he says this answer. So it's Avdan Segel saying it, but I found it already in the Chazon Yecheskel. Not only that, I found it later on. I found it in a Chuvas called Kol Ben Levi. Now this Chuvas must be a Choshev Sefer because if Kveig is Mitzayin it in Shulchan Aruch Yodeya Siman Reish Mem Vav Sif Yud Ches. So it's obviously if Kveig is Mitzayin it, must zayin that it's a Choshev Sefer, and he says exact same teretz. And I'll read you the lashon. He says, "The b'talmatoya lo shayich haschala mamish k'may sham mitzvahs." By talmatoya, it's not shayich haschala. The guy by talmatoya kol perek uperek. By mishnu mishna va'afilu dibur echad. Mitzvah shleima chashiva. That's considered a complete mitzvah. Masha'ein came b'sham mitzvahs sheyesh lehem gvul umida. The other mitzvahs have a gvul. It doesn't stop by one word. There's boundaries to it. And then he continues on. But upon him, he goes on a little lengthy, and then he says, therefore, it's pashut why you go ahead and you mafsik from limit to do another mitzvah is because the mitzvah stopped. So this is what I've done. Segel said over. Then he says, but I am not masking to this text. And he said the reason is because he says, I understand that the Gayan told us that every ma'aseh mitzvah that you do, you get every word that you do is another mitzvah. But avada, it's one hamshech. A person starts learning and he says, "Omar Abaya," and he says, "Here, shloimi das." You're going to tell me no? He stopped right now. He's in the middle of learning. You want to say that you're getting a kiyum mitzvah for every word? True, but to say that you're not in the middle of a ma'aseh mitzvah and it's worse than any other ma'aseh mitzvah, how could that be? Avada, the Gayan is right. You get a kiyum mitzvah every word you say. But besides for that, you're still in the middle of learning. If let's say if someone tells you in the middle of learning, you say, that says, I'm still in the middle of the act of this mitzvah of learning. So therefore, he was not nachas to this teretz. Rabban did not, this was his kasha on the teretz. But I really have to understand that it's not so pashut either, because we said over Yerushalmi says a different reason, not like this of Chatzkel Abramsky and the Vilna Gaon, and say that's why. The Vilna Gaon doesn't say it. Chatzkel Abramsky is chatting the Vilna Gaon. That's why you mafsik from limit atayah, because you're going ahead and each word is a mitzvah from the Atzmat. Yerushalmi says, because like we said earlier, that limit atayah is maybe the day ma'isa. I'm sorry, I see you asked the question. I couldn't have time to read it. Okay. Bekitza, so that was this shaila of Dan Segel on this text. So there are other mahalchim how to answer the shaila, and there's a few mahalchim, but I just want to say, see what Bilam. What can you say in a rega? Yeah, that's a good. Bilam was able to say in a rega. What was he able to say in a rega? Bilam was able to say in a rega kememre, and he was able to mechaven to the time. He was referring to the Gemara and the brachas of Zion. And there's a taste over there. Yeah, but that's not for now. We don't have to get into that. But upon him, yeah, you see that one word is enough to be mekayim something. So I'll tell you what Rabbi Baruch Finkel says. He says as follows. You're right. Normally, limud atayr is supposed to be mafsik for to do any ma'aseh mitzvah, because like we said, whichever reason you're coming on to, but limud atayr you're mechuyev to go out and be mafsik for a mitzvah. But over here, limud atayr on sukkahs, you're also getting a kiyum mitzvah of a samachta, another kiyum, another daraisa. A person, the Shagasaya says that in Shuvah Shagasaya Simon Samachtes, he says it's shaykh b'mekayim v'samachta b'chagecha ayedei limud atayr. Why? Kudei Hashem Yishaim v'samchei leiv. V'samchei leiv. You want to know what to be happy. There's a murder, for a minute, the murder Babanel, I'm sure you heard of it. The Babanel says, he learns out of the Psukim, that if a person is going to make sure he's happy 7 days of Sukkot, he's never b'tzar, it's a guarantee he's going to be happy a ganz yah. So how do you do that? By limud atayr. Limud atayr, Kudei Hashem Yisham v'samchei leiv. This steht in Shagas Ayah, you get a key in mitzvah samachta b'chagecha. Even that Torah b'cheftzes misamech. I once had a shayla. I remember asking many poskim. Since the Chaim Kanievsky also once. The shayla was that if you don't like wine, and you like Pepsi Cola, you like soda better than that. Is there, we know that yayin every year comes out in the atel, the chleis, make sure you drink yayin, eat basa, simcha sachag, chalamoid. So a person likes soda better, he doesn't like wine. Does he get the kiyam mitzvah with that? But not for now, this is not a shmooze for now, we can discuss it a different time. But one thing for sure, Shagas Ayah tells us that the mitzvah is samachta b'chagecha, p'kudei Hashem yisham misamchei leiv, you get a kiyam mitzvah dayais. Therefore, Zakir Baruch brought down in Shulchan Baruch Alatayah Pashas Re'eh. I don't know if it's on the Adam. I saw it in Alatayah. Over there he says, answers Rashi, that the reason why you potter, you don't have to stop learning to go sit in the sukkah, because since it's not only the mitzvah limud Torah I'm getting, I'm also getting a kiyum v'samachta b'chagecha. I'm also getting a kiyum v'samachta b'chagecha. Therefore, I'm allowed to go ahead and continue learning and not sit in the sukkah, because the only time you're mechuyev to be mafsik is only from learning itself. But when I have another mitzvah v'samachta b'chagecha, I'm allowed to go ahead and continue on with this limud Torah. That was Rabbi Baruch's teretz. It's a very glatt teretz, but you have to know that's pashtus a chiddush of this is a chiddush to say, Shagas Ayah says it, but like upon him it's a chiddush that the samachta b'chagecha is a kiyum, you get a kiyum of learning. Tell that to your wife, that all of a sudden, okay, I'm learning, I'm getting samachta b'chagecha. She wants you to eat and have a good time, and samachta b'chagecha, you can tell them, Kudei Hashem Sam Chelei. Okay, but the Ma'asen Shagas Ayah state does it. So, very interesting, Beryl Pavalsky, I just saw this yesterday, by his sefer, quoting him. He writes that he said that if the sefer was written by a Michal Yehuda Lefkovich's son. He writes over there, Beryl told him that if you learn not on Simcha Sachag, not on Samachta B'chagecha, but learning on Sukkos, Hilchis Chag B'chag, besides for being Mekayim Mitzvah Talmud Torah, you also be Mekayim the Kiyum of Takanas Chazal, that a person, Megillah, a person is mechuyev to learn Hilchis Chag B'chag. People don't know this. You get a Kiyum Mitzvah, Shaykh Mizdayraisa, Zechas Machta, to sit and learn Hilchis Chag B'chag. So what we're doing now, if you're sitting in the sukkah, you're getting three mitzvahs. You're getting Limud Torah, Yeshiva Sukkah, and you're getting a new mitzvah of Hilchis Chag B'chag, learning Hilchis Chag B'chag. Some say Yotze with Kriyas Torah, but if you're spacing out with Kriyas Torah, you're not Yotze. So maybe if you get the Aliyah Yotze, because like you're saying, if you're saying it, you get the Bunim. So here's Dr. Beryl Pavalsky, a Pashta Teretz, that for Rashi, that since you're sitting and learning, and what you're learning, he says, obviously we're talking about, which Rashi doesn't make a mention, but like upon him, he's saying, Mistama, we're talking about if you're going on Sukkos, what else are you learning? You're learning Hilchos Sukkos. So therefore, Zakta, that you're getting another mitzvah, and therefore you're not mevatel to do a mitzvah of Sukkah or any other mitzvah. Because since I'm going ahead and I'm doing a different mitzvah, it's a mitzvah, patam in a mitzvah. Right now I'm patam from another mitzvah. Now, not only that, there's a Yedu Dugah later on a little bit over here in the Sukkah, but the Dva says that if you're Isaac with mitzvah, you're not allowed to go ahead and do another mitzvah. Not stam that you don't have to do other mitzvah. If someone is Isaac in a mitzvah, he's not allowed to go ahead and switch this mitzvah and do another mitzvah. It's not just the p'tur. The Dva says you're not allowed to. But so you have to be careful sometimes. The person decides, it's even by mitzvah Abana Pashas. Yaakov is mistapping in it, but I'll be Pashas, it's even by mitzvah Abana. A person should not go ahead, and if he's doing a mitzvah Abana, to go ahead now, and he decides, you know what, it looks better if he does this mitzvah Daraisa. That's sitting on the side of him waiting to be done. No, you continue on with this mitzvah. So when the Mishnah said P'turin, the Mishnah means not just saying P'tur, but the Evid. The Mishnah is telling you that's what you should be doing. So Ha'ilech Lo Matayah is pata from sitting in a sukkah. That is this din, that the first din of the Mishnah. We're not going to go into the other two cases. because that's not what we want to discuss. I wanted to get into the next part of the mission. The next chelik of the mission says, and the last halacha in the mission says, the third halacha says, you're allowed to go ahead and eat or drink aray chutz l'sukkah. This is what I want to discuss today, is what's the pshat in this halacha, and what does it mean shtiyas aray? What does it mean drinking aray? Which drink are you mechuyev to do in the sukkah that we're telling you shtiyas aray is part of the sukkah? And also, we know the Rambam tells us adin of that kalam meisif. Anytime you're meisif to sit in the sukkah, you eat achilas aray, is a meshubach. Where's the Rambam coming from, and what type of din is that? Now, what's the reason to achilas aray chutz l'sukkah? So there's machlokes in the Yeshayim between the Ritva and the Ra'ah. The Ritva was a Talmud of the Ra'ah, and normally the Ritva, he mentions the Ra'ah as always, he never chalik on the Ra'ah. But over here it seems like, even if it would seem like he's arguing on the Ra'ah. So I'll read you the Ritva, and then I'll read you the Ra'ah. The Ritva says, the reason why a person's pater from eating aray chutz l'sukkah, pirush sheken adam oichel aray achilas aray chutz l'beisa. A person eats aray outside his house. So if a person eats aray outside his house, see, we know that the halacha is teishukan to do whatever you do in your house, you do in the sukkah. So this is being eaten today. You eat aray out of your house. You eat a snack. You go to your car outside. You eat it out of your house. So therefore, zakter it's pashut that it's part of a sukkah teishukan to do. As I state in the Ritva. The Machzavitri goes in the same mahalach that it's pashut al teishu nafkalam and besukkah's teishu can to do chilas aray eicha b'lei dirasa k'moi eicha b'chatzeiroi or b'sada b'einem avakish dira. You don't look for a dira. The svaru which lahik b'dar kasa b'achilas aray, the Torah was not makban achilas aray. So I'm waiting for someone to ask that leilenu today we also eat outside all day. It's not dafka achilas aray. Today we eat bread. We have planning picnics and the vegetables. Who's not eating outside? You're not eating mamish outside. You'll eat by the restaurant, the front window over there. Achila gasa. You'll eat, right? Or people are eating in the car. I always had that child, if that's considered eichel b'shuk daim l'kelev. If you're eating in the car, a sandwich, the guy behind you, you see in your rear view mirror, that he's inching up to you. You wonder what's going on. Oh, he's in the middle of eating a sandwich. Is that called eichel achilas b'shuk? But upon him. But Saivazai, the Ritva tells us the reason why a person is allowed to go ahead and eat achilas aray chutz l'sukkah is because pashut. This is not this. You don't eat. You're not obligated to eat this in your house, and we're only mechayiv things, food that you eat in your house, and achilas aray is not eaten in the house. So that's the Ritva. So again, that shiloh that I asked, that's a good shiloh that we're not going to discuss it now. We can't go ahead and make a tayim when the Chazal told us that achilas kva yimechuyev. We're not going to go ahead and say time has changed, and today achilas aray, achilas kva, it's also eaten outside, and therefore you should be able to eat achilas kva out of the sukkah. You can't give such a hat. We did discuss this a few weeks ago. We discussed it with Negei Pats, that today, Pats, the reason why you can't bring a pat into the sukkah was only al teishu can to do it, not because it's mias. Plates that was eaten from, that's al mias. Pats, the reason why you can't eat pats in this, you can't have pats in the sukkah, is al teishu can to do. So we discussed, if so, why would it be that if today the time has changed and some people do bring in pats, we said even today by the let's say chalamoid chach, you don't eat in the dining, you eat on the net table. Hamoed Pesach, you eat on the net table. So on the net table you do bring pats in. So therefore maybe it should be like that. It should be mutter to bring a pat in today's day and age. We said someone asked us to Rabbi Shapiro. Okay, we're not getting into that now. But our component, getting back to our discussion. The Ritva tells us the reason why achilas aray is allowed to be eaten out of the sukkah is because that's how you eat the whole year out of your house. There are, the Ritva's Rebbe, as we said, says a different story. He says the achilas aray lo yishma achila. What does that mean? It means that it's not a chashav achila. It doesn't have a din achila. Achilas aray doesn't have a chashivas achila to it, and therefore it's not a problem to eat it out of the sukkah. Something which has a cheshivus of achila, which has a shem achila to it, the kva has a shem achila to it, that has to be done in the sukkah. But something which doesn't have a shem achila to it, lo chashiv achila, and that's not considered a achila that's chayiv in the sukkah. Now you have to understand, where did your get such a din from that you need something which is a shema achila? It doesn't say in the Torah of achalta b'sukkah. It says in the Torah, teishvu. The sukkah is teishvu shivas yom. Okay, what does teishvu mean? Teishvu doesn't say achila. Teishvu says teishvu is any type of living. If achilas arai is something which you normally eat in the sukkah, what makes an afkamina if it has a shem achila or not a shem? The eating in kippur, you have to know if it has a shem achila. For cheshivas and bishal, something that has to have a shem achila. But since when does sukkah have to have a shem achila to it? If the Torah would say v'achalta, so I'll tell you that this doesn't go into the gather of v'achalta. But the Torah doesn't say the word v'achalta. The Torah says b'sukkah teishu. The way in b'sukkah teishu doesn't say this, doesn't lie this happen. So the shaila bothered me, and I saw very interestingly that the Mishabura says both svaras. Side the Tva and side the Ra. He says, Achilas arai the zelo choshev lechayvay besukah, the af bebeitza matzu shaych la'achotz l'sukkah. He says two things. He says first of all it's loy choshev, and he says also bebeitza you do it. There was nachas daiti. The Tva normally goes with the Ra. The Ra is not saying just the svara, the fact that it's achilas arai lo shma achila, that wasn't his svara itself. He's saying since it doesn't have a shem achila to it, that therefore people during the year eat it outside the house. You eat in your house. It's something which doesn't have a shem achila, not because in din is shem achila. It's something which has no chashivas. People don't mind eating outside. Therefore, the Tva and their is one pshat, and that's what the Mishabura learned. And it's all the same pshat that something which is not kva is not normally eaten. You don't not normally, but akapanim, you don't obligate to eat it in your house, and therefore you're okay with eating it outside the sukkah. That's where it comes from, this din of achilas arai. Now, we know, like we said before, the Rambam says that if a person eats achilas arai, the sukkah, areza meshubach. So what does that mean, areza meshubach? Is he getting a kiyam mitzvah, or just a nice thing to do? Is he getting a kiyam mitzvah d'oraisa by eating something inside the sukkah? Something which is not obligated to eat. He eats a chilas arai. Is he getting a kiyam mitzvah? So the Sefer HaYashal ben Etam says very clearly that mitzvah ka'avid. If a person is eating peiros out of the sukkah and he goes ahead, he could eat out of the sukkah, and he's going ahead and eating in the sukkah, zok the Sefer HaYashal ben Etam in his Shuvah Siman Ayin or his Daled, that he gets a kiyam mitzvah d'oraisa. And so too, Sefer HaMichtam and the Masech Sukkah writes the same thing, and he writes Shapri Avadu Mitzvah Avad. He's getting a mitzvah. It's not stam that you're not obligated, but it's a mitzvah that you could get if you do it out in the sukkah. So too the Meir and Chav Chesed Mavur like that. So we have already 3 Rishonim that are Mavur that you get a mitzvah while you're eating in the sukkah, even though you're not obligated to eat it. The HaRav brought down in the Sefer Kuntas Abiyurim, which is Shmuel Shapiro, the Chetzadik L'Bracha. He said that he heard from a Baal, B'Shem's father, that it's pashut, that you're getting a kiyam mitzvah, and that's what the Rambam said, Areza Meshubach, is referring to this kiyam mitzvah of sitting in the sukkah when you're not obligated to do. It's a regular kiyam mitzvah d'oraisa. Now, the question is as follows. If you're getting a kiyam mitzvah d'oraisa, why don't you make a bracha? Nashim make a bracha, even though they're not mechuyev. Since they're getting a kiyam mitzvah, they make a bracha. So why we only make a bracha leishev? When do we make a bracha leishev? When we're eating hamaitzi, when we're being sudas kvar or mezainis. But how come we don't make a leishev every time we walk into the sukkah, eating a vegetable, drinking a cup of coffee, anything? Because you get enechanam, you're not obligated, but for you're getting a kiyam mitzvah. So why don't I make a bracha of leishev sukkah? Here the shaila. If we're telling you Rishonim, let's say clearly that you're getting a kiyam mitzvah d'oraisa when you're eating achilas aray chutz l'sukkah, why don't they make a bracha just like Nashim make a bracha on mitzvah seishas man grama, which they're not obligated to do? We paskin, the Ashkenaz paskin, they make a bracha like those shittas Rishonim and Tais Rosh Hashanah and the Ramah. Therefore, why shouldn't we make a bracha every time we walk into the sukkah? Okay, if the Neil Khan is asking, now later from the Gayin, it says that by Chilas Matzah, you get a Kiyah Mitzvah all 7 days that you eat matzah. Why don't they make a bracha? Asher Kitchanim Mitzvah Yitzivanu Lechal Matzah. Right? That's a very good question. That question I actually have a whole share on. I don't know if I said it online over here, but I discussed it once, and that I actually have a new tshuva from HSukkah on that I got a month ago around discussing the guy in Shita. We're not going to go into that now. That's an hour for itself. Al-Chilas Matzah, yeah. Yes. I said Lachal Matzah. Yeah, you're right. Al-Chilas Matzah. Okay. So Akapanim. So that was our shayla. But Akapanim, getting back to us. We want to know why you don't make a bracha on every time you come into the sukkah. And we know that from the Gayin and those shittas Rishonim, going with those shittas Rishonim, that they made a bracha every time they walk into the sukkah. But that's not minig of grave of Klal Yisrael. We only make it when we're eating achilas kvar. Agav, I just want to say halacha that is not yedua lechal, which I don't understand why. And they're Moshe, Rabbi Yashiv, Shlomo Zalman, Reb Chaim Kanievsky, the Sarator, Zecher Tzadik Levracha. They all said that when you're eating mezainis, first you make a, what does the Ilam do first? You have to be afraid to say. First, the Ilam makes a mezainis, and then they make a leishav. They all felt that first you should make a leishav, and then you should make a mezainis. Because since it's a machlekes in the Rishonim, if in mezainis you'll make a leishav, said Shaykh, we pass can you do. But it might be a hefsek, so why do that? Rather go ahead and make the leishav first. There's no hefsek in the leishav. The Mishabur and Shahatzian writes that in order to make a leishav, even when you're making a mezainis, you have to sit there a moment afterwards because you need a yeshiva also. Mezainis itself might not be a mechayiv to make a bracha of leishav. So he says, I have to have a yeshiva afterwards also. So how do I know you're going to make a yeshiva afterwards? We might just eat the mezainis and run out. It doesn't have to be a long yeshiva, but like upon him, something. So therefore, Dr. Moshe Feinstein, Yashiv, Shlomo Zalman, I told you, Reb Chaim Kanievsky, and many others, they hold you should make a leishav first. I don't know why the minhag item is not like this. I haven't seen anyone do it. I once was talking actually to a Meir Hirschkowitz, a big Talmud Rabban Kaplan, but him was Pasha. Yeah, that's what you do. But I haven't seen anyone. I watched this many, many times to see what people do. Chashuv people, not. Last night I was with Rebbe Chamoshin, and I told him over this. He was like, hey, I didn't realize that there's such a shita b'chal. But upon him, it's interesting that that's not the minhag ha'olam, and I still don't know why. One thing for sure is that when it comes to Havdalah, people are mesupik. It's not just people are mesupik, it's different days in the Achreinim. If Havdalah itself is mechayiv leishav, so what do most people do? They bring him mezainis into the sukkah with them. But when are they making that leishav before they drink the agafen? That agafen is a suffix. So why are you being mafsik between the agafen and the leishav? What do? I come into the sukkah, I make a leishav, and then I go and I make the Havdalah. Why should I go ahead and be mafsik between the bichas b'yepri agafen and the shtiyas agafen with a leishav asukah, which might be part of a leishav? Many people don't make a leishav b'chlal on Havdalah. If you want to be a machman, you want to make a leishav, and you're going to go ahead, and your leishav is going to go on the mezainis that you're drinking after, that you're eating after the Havdalah. So that's a hefsek between the b'yepri agafen of the Havdalah and the shtiyas agafen. Therefore, I don't know why that's the meaning, but again, I know that is the meaning by many of Klal Yisrael, most of Klal Yisrael. So but I'm just telling you that I'll be pashtus, it would be the chiddush and din. Yeah. So getting back to what we were trying to discuss. So we're discussing over here the question that we asked, that how come every achilas aray should not be mechayev leishav basukah? You're right, you're not obligated, but once you do it, you're getting a mitzvah. So why shouldn't I make a leishav? So on that, I found there's a Tshuvas Ginas V'Radim. That's a Tshuvas Sefer written by the Pri Megadim. Pri Megadim Ask the Shaila, and Chaim Klal Dalet Soif Simon Vav. He asked the Shaila. Ulechayra near the Shapav and Matzah Lebrucha. He says that goes to a whole Arichas Ibarakapah. He says, why aren't you mechuyev to make a machalei peiros? Why don't you make a bracha? So on that he says that it doesn't have a mitzvah chashuva, so maybe that's why you don't make a bracha. And if you would have chashivas to the achila, you would make a bracha. And it's a Shema Tomer Shitin Daitili Kones B'Sukkah Lehones Mishivasai Hayekvabetlu B'Nichlas Leishav B'Sukkah. He goes on pretty lengthy over here, and I still don't have a good test to this kasha. But what we'd have to discuss is the achilas matzah. Let me just tell you briefly what the answer may be. Is that the reason why noshim make a bracha, don't be medam and noshim, is because noshim make a bracha only because they're taking the bracha that men make. Let's say they come and they make a bracha of al natilas lulav. So memela, men make the bracha. So noshim can take bar of that bracha. Arai, no one's mechuyev. So a bracha wasn't huskan for achilas arai. You can't borrow a bracha from achilas kvar. That's a different chiyuv. If there's an arai that's mechuyev, so you're right. So even though now you're not mechuyev, let's say the bishul shechatimtza, then avada you would make a bracha, you could borrow that bracha. But by achilas arai, you're never mechuyev. So since you never mechuyev, if you do it, you get a kiyum mitzvah. But since I'm not mechuyev, therefore that will be a tzad. But I think the kash is better than the teretz. That would answer somewhat this question. Now let's move on. So now, the shaila is as follows. We discussed now achilas arai. So achilas arai, you do mutter to do out of the sukkah. But what is shtiyas arai? Shoysin arai chutz l'sukkah. You might hear the background, it's raining by me, so my shlak is on. Shoysin arai chutz l'sukkah. It's shtiyas arai. This chutz l'sukkah is potter from the sukkah. What does it mean shtiyas arai? What shtiyas kvar that you chayiv in sukkah? There's a shtiyas arai, there's a shtiyas kvar. You know any shtiyas kvar that you mechuyev in the sukkah? We do have a shtiyas kvar that you mechuyev in the sukkah. So on this, there's a few terutzim which come out very negeya shmaitz aliba delchas. One teretz is shtiyah toy chasuda. People don't know this halacha, but Rishonim say this already. That a shtiyah toy chasuda, Mishabur passes like this also. That a shtiyah toy chasuda is obligated to eat in the sukkah. Many times, you're in the middle of a suda and you go inside and you drink something or you nash on something, and it's a shakal. You're not mechuyev in the sukkah. Zog the Sha'atzi and the Mishabur passes like that. That you're obligated to eat in the sukkah because that's a chelik in the suda. And let me tell you a chiddush. Even though you have to make a bracha and let's say you eat a piece of candy, a nash, then you have to make a shakal teichasuda to since it's teichasuda. Then you're making a bracha, maybe it's no shaykhs to the suda. It's not true because since the bichsam mazin, you don't have to make a bar in the fashis, it's called mani teichasuda. So even though the bracha of shakal you have to make, but I don't have to make a bichsam mazin, therefore you're obligated to go ahead and eat that in the sukkah. That would be called the shtiyas. Let's talk about shtiyah. That would be called a shtiyas kva. That would obligate you to sit in the sukkah. As I state in the Meiri, that's how it's mashma in the Ran. The Lechem Yudah on the Rambam says this. The Shalom Eshe Pasha this in the Mishabur. In Sharatzim, Ois Chavtes says, "Oh, the Isa V'Gemar Oichle M'Shoysim B'Sukkah, Ein Alachach Chilasa B'Suda." Yosef Slutzker says that. I might have that. No, where's that? Okay. So therefore, Dr. Mishabur, Oz Tzarech Lishtois Gam came Besukkah the Nichlal Hu Besuda. This is Kolol in the Suda. Now, there is a story. I mean, Akapanim Chubas Van August brings down a story that the Miskarov drank water, Teichasuda, out of the sukkah. And they told his father, Reb Chaim, Chaim said, don't bother him. He said, because there's what to be Saimach on, that even Shtiyas Mayim Techasuda doesn't have a din that you're obligated to eat in the sukkah. But like upon him, I'll be passionate system Shabura and many other Achreinim Shalom Meshiv also goes with this. HaRav is mashma like this. There's many Achreinim that are mashma that you're to eat in the sukkah. Okay, the singer Brody mentioned this. Okay, now let me tell you another chiddush. From Shlomo Zalman Auerbach. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach said as follows: that if someone has a cup, is standing with a cup of water outside his sukkah, the sukkah is right off the porch, and he's standing right off the kitchen, and he's standing with a cup of water. Zakir Shlomo Zalman, you mechuyev to go ahead and drink that cup of water inside the sukkah. And he explains and he says the only reason why Shtiyas Arai is mutter, why Shti is mutter chutz sukkah, is because the same way you'll drink outside your house. So therefore, you're not obligated to drink inside the sukkah. But when I'm standing right near my house, over there, you're not going to drink outside your house. You're going to go inside your house. You'll be matriach yourself that moment walk to go and drink inside your house. Therefore, a person is obligated to drink inside the sukkah. I asked this to Reb Chaim Kanievsky, Zechet Tzadik V'Kodesh L'Bracha many years ago, and he told me we don't pass like that with Shlomo Zalman. But upon him, later Shlomo Zalman, I didn't see it any other place besides Shlomo Zalman. Well, afterwards the Sukkos Chaim brings it down, but upon him, many swamp they bring it down. But that doesn't mean that there are many chalkim on that Shlomo Zalman. No, that's not again. But Shlomo Zalman Mifadin, the Pasha Taich in this Mishnah, that the Mishnah tells us, Shaisin Arai Chutz L'Sukkah. What is the Shtiyas Arai? The Shlomo Zalman, the Shtiyas Arai is okay, good. Yeah, and Zakir Shlomo Zalman that the Shtiyas Arai is not. Therefore, the Shtiyas Arai that you're obligated to sit in, the Shtiyah that you're obligated is if you're next to your house. Now, the Minhag Olam is taken not to be makbid on that, and the reason is because we won't. If we're standing on our front porch in the middle of the year and we have a cup of water, we will definitely feel comfortable to drink it. We will not go into the house. The Zalman was a ish tsunua, moed. And by him, drinking outside was a whole chumrah. It wasn't stam. He was going to stand. Go ahead and drink outside. Therefore, he felt that Yemuchuyev, yes, so to the dessert. He felt the Yemuchuyev to go ahead and go inside. Okay, now let's go weiter. Now it's Yidua that the Biskarov was not makbid on drinking inside the sukkah. Cup of water, or whatever it was. I'm not saying techasuda, obviously. I mean, we said before, there is such a ma'aser, but like upon him, stam to eat, to drink achilas aray, the drink or achilas aray, puts a sukkah, it seems like he wasn't makbid. And he said, the reason why he's not makbid is because the Rambam says, Kala machmir. The Biskarov said he's not a machmir. Now, as far as we know, the Biskarov was the greatest machmir in the last 100 years, probably. And he's telling us he's not a machmir. He says, woe to us is what do we do? So he explained himself, at least the way they explain him, is that when there's a shita, he felt that when there's a shita Rishayim, he'll do all the shitas, make sure that he's being yaitz all the shitas Rishayim, the deis and Shulchan. But if it's just al tzchumra and it's not really a din in Shulchan, that he wasn't machmir. Okay, whatever it is, that was the chiddush of Revelva. But there's another chiddush. Some of us try to be machmir not to drink anything out of the sukkah. So you make sure that you want to be machmir. I raise a meshubach to murder shvach to be meshubach by the Rebbeinu Shleilam. Right after Yom Kippurim, you want to be a meshubach the yid. Smoking is supposed to be done in the sukkah, assuming it's mutter. Yeah, but actually, someone came to my sukkah, had some talmidim come, and one person wanted to take a sukkah. I said, please don't, because you stay in my simchas yantiv. But upon him, yes, smoking is mutter. Smoking is not attachment shabazik, and like you said, not pashut. And I don't know why people are makel today. I've seen people on yantiv itself is mamish not pashut. I have a whole share in that. You know, I'm saying Fisher was makel on it, but I think Seif Yamav. Anyways, he was machma. It's time to go ahead and do that. It's but upon him, everything's supposed to be done. Interesting story. Someone just told me, an older man. He tells me that is over yantiv. He was telling me that over 50 years ago, he was watching he got a hold of a television to watch a sports game. And he brings it home with his brothers, and his father was Alta Yid those days. And his father tells him, you're going to sit around and not sit in the sukkah. You have to bring it into the sukkah. And then the schlepping in the sukkah, and then the father says, "Oi, television in the sukkah is kanazan." So what he did was, father told him, keep the television right out of the sukkah, and you guys sit in the sukkah and watch it through the window. Have the television inside the house, and you watch it. Like upon him, everything's supposed to be done in the sukkah. Chutz from Kalas Reish, Lashon Hara, very Chamad. The Mishabur brings it down that you shouldn't talk Lashon Hara in the sukkah. But really, every moment, why wouldn't someone want to try upon him? Depends the weather, obviously, weather allowing. That every moment you're sitting in the sukkah, you're getting kiyum mitzvah. It's not shaykh to fathom such a thing. Sukkah mitzvah kalish that Gemara by the Zar. It's such an easy mitzvah. You're just sitting there and you're getting a kiyum mitzvah doing nothing. You don't have to learn. You don't have to do anything. Just the fact that he's without a bracha, you're sitting there. You get a kiyum mitzvah dayaisa. Endless amount, priceless amount of schusim you get for just sitting in the mitzvah, sitting in the sukkah. Okay, but akapanim. To me, it seems like most of the people now, whoever I could see, not too many actually, are sitting in the sukkah. Yeah, was nicht a kiyum mitzvah. Yeah. So now, so let's continue it. So the shayla is like this. So you're makbid. Let's say this person decides to be makbid not to eat outside the sukkah anything. Today it's not so hard. Wherever you go, you have sukkahs. So therefore, he's makbid on the sukkah. Okay. And the shayla is, he's traveling. He's went on a family Kalamai trip, an hour away, and he's thirsty in the car. Is there any Indian? And when he gets to the park, there'll be a sukkah there. Fine, say that. Is there any Indian for him to be machmeh and not to take a drink? Or we say, no, why should you be machmeh? Again, we're discussing someone that wants to be machmeh. Obviously, Chiyuvim was saying zero obligation to do this. But someone decided that he wants to be machmeh this yontif, not to do anything out of the sukkah. Is there any purpose of him waiting along and saying, you know what, I'll wait a half hour, I won't take this drink, and I'll wait a half hour till I get to the sukkah. And when I get to the sukkah, I'll take the drink. So the Biskarov felt that there's no Inyan to do this. That means even if you want to be machmeh, he felt there's absolutely no Inyan to be machmeh. And the reason was, he said the only time Chazal told you to do this is when you have a sukkah. If you don't have a sukkah, you're not even a machmeh. It's garnished. When you're trying to, the only time you're machmeh tavel of brachas, machmeh is a reason meshubach, is the pshat is because I'm shaykh to a sukkah. But if I'm holchet drach and I'm not shaykh to a sukkah, then there's no obligation, there's no chumri. You're wasting your time. Dr. Biskarov. Biskarov was brought down by his two children, one Rebel and one Reb Meir. That's what I saw. They both said a little bit different svaras to this, what the Biskarov was saying. But upon him, they both agreed that the Biskarov held that there's no reason. Shlomo Zalman took it a step weiter. Shlomo Zalman said that not only should you not be machmeh, you're also to be machmeh. Why? Because you have a mitzvah Simchas Yantiv. Simchas Yantiv is the Yaisa. Now, I'm not telling you drinking a cup of water Simchas Yantiv, but right now in this massive shahu, you're very thirsty and you want to drink. So you're going to say no because sukkah. Sukkah can't be mechayiv me more than this chumrah of teisha can to do it to get the reizim meshubach can't be more than b'samachta b'chagecha. They have to be b'simcha on yantiv. Most people, when they're thirsty, they're going to be ois simcha. They're going to become, they're missing something in their simcha yantiv. So therefore, zok Shlomo Zalman I'll leave it the ilchus that you're not allowed to stop yourself and say no. I want to be machmeh. Not to drink out of the sukkah. A person is obligated. Now, about it is gedarim. When you say that, okay, you need it, you don't need it, talk upon him. A cloud to say as a rule, if a person is thirsty, he's in a park, he's thirsty, and he says, no, I want to be machmeh, not drink a cup out of the water, a cup out of the sukkah, a cup of water out of the sukkah. You have to think twice if that's a chumrah that comes from nish verstehen, or that's a true chumrah that's kedai to take upon yourself. That is the gabe shtir chutz l'sukkah. Now, I notice how late it is. Okay, so I guess we did run out of time. A lot more to discuss in these inyanim. Obviously, like everything else in Shas, I wanted to discuss a lot about Shina also, but I don't see we have time for that. So I would like to just vinch on everyone to realize this, that, you know, it's a Murder Gezach. I saw from the Jikava, the Menayam. It says, that Lulav is the Raisa, one day. Simchas Yantiv, the Biba Simcha is the Raisa all 7 days. It's all 7 days you're obligated to be Simcha. So he says, for Dalad, meaning you mutcher yourself and you do all that chonis to get yourself who knows what. And finally you came to the Dalad Minim, and Baruch Hashem, you kind of mitzvah be Duroi, and you got the mitzvah. For the one moment that you're holding it, right? You yaitz with the Akbei Nafik, you yaitz with one moment. It comes to Simchas Yantiv over there. No, you don't learn your Muslims from how to get to Simcha. There's so much. How does someone become Simcha? The guy says it's the hardest mitzvah. Did anyone think about it before Yantiv? How he's going to keep himself happy all 7 days? It's not just that once. It's not with the Akbei Nafik Bay. It's not that, okay, I was B'Simcha, I smiled today. I was Yaitza for today, and tomorrow I'm starting again to smile. It has to be the 24/7 for 7 days straight. The person has to be Muttal and him Simcha. And not only that, it's a key in the Raisa. How lucky we are, and how swift we are. But how do we get there? How does someone get to be B'Simcha? Again, we're not going to be Mayach, but the answer is one word: the Tachan. The Tachan in the Rebbeinu Shalom. The person, today we go on vacation, and we go to Cancun, and over there we're all excited, we're going on vacation. But you have your phone, and you have your connections, you have your internet, and someone calls you from work, and we're obligated to answer. It's your wife, it's your children, whatever it is. You're always connected. When you're B'tuach in the Rebbeinu Shalom, you have nothing to worry about. You're a free bird, you're a free man. And that's the whole mitzvah Simcha. That's the whole mitzvah Sukkah. To be B'tuach in the Rebbeinu Shalom, you're coming into the Sukkah, you're leaving your bias with all the Gashmis, you're coming into plain, simple, Dira. Look up in the Schach, as nice as you can have the walls. The Schach is only one thing. Everyone has to have somewhat the same. So be Zeicha. Because Mamish to sit with Sukkah Shalav Yasin, again, Nishkayach for Shlomo for giving us this opportunity to come together and have the Limud HaTorah B'Iyam. We're carrying the mitzvah side sitting in the Sukkah and side the Limud HaTorah B'Iyam. A good night.
Shkayach, thank you very much. A good night. Rabbi Say, wish everybody a good night, a good fittel, Piska Tova, and Mitzvah Shem will reconvene HSukkah next week. Call to
Good night.